Just shave it off. You're going to look in the mirror. You're going to realize you're still you. Your hair completely gone. Doesn't change your personality. It doesn't change who you are. No one can take that. No amounts of follicles on your head can determine who you are, and you're still going to be you.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to this video. So today we're going to see a podcast episode that I did recently with a young guy, a student out there in the States. And guys, before you watch this podcast, I just want to remind you, okay, this whole hair loss thing, as we know, it's not about how much hair you've got left. You know, a lot of this hair loss stuff, honestly, is psychological. You could have someone who's got a lot of hair rocking the horseshoe. They love it. They're not worried about it. But for a lot of other people, once they know that that hair loss is set in, it's really often on their mind, okay? It's a big negative, and they just want to get rid of it and get on with it. And of course, the main goal here, okay, with how you deal with this hair loss is to be completely comfortable in yourself and in that hair loss situation. I want you to listen to this podcast episode, listen to James's story, hear about how he was feeling during those hair loss days and how he's feeling now. And I really hope it helps people out there, inspires them to deal with their own hair loss situation. Enjoy, guys. How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Baldcafe podcast, the absolute bread and butter of Baldcafe. Today we got James, a college student, joining us from Philadelphia. James, it's a pleasure to have you here, man. Thank you so much.
It's incredible to be on. Thank you very much for having me. I never thought I'd actually be on this channel. I've been watching you for about a couple months now, and just now, I'll be honest, it's surreal.
And now you're here. Yeah, no, I mean, this is what I love about Baldcafe, right? It goes full circle. So maybe the stories and things like that you said off camera there have helped you. And now you kind of want to do your part, you know, share your experience. And if it can help someone out there to go, you know, deal with this hair loss stuff, with this balding stuff, then it's well worth it. So thank you so much. James, we'll get started then, right? In true fashion, we'll look back. How long ago and sort of how old were you when you first sort of discovered that your hair was falling out? You were suffering from male pattern baldness.
I started noticing about 10 months ago, around May. Though in hindsight now, it was probably started falling out years and years ago. I used to have a really thick head of hair. Like I was proud of it too. Like it was one of my defining features. I loved it. I was around the time when I was leaving after my freshman year of college. I was cleaning out my dorm and I was taking out some stuff under my bed. And all of a sudden I just noticed there's just piles and piles of hair. Like I knew my hair shed. That's normally what I thought, because like, okay, I've got a thick head of hair. I'm like a golden retriever. I just shed. But it's still there, like nothing too worried. In fact, I'd always tell myself, if I ever were to my hair start falling out, my hair is so thick, it would just be like layers. I'll still have like at least a decent layer of hair. It's something I tell myself. Well, it was like a decent, like someone kind of, it almost looked like if someone got a haircut in my room, and I was sweep it up, like, oh, okay, like, all right, that's a little strange, but I really didn't pay much attention to it. Then about a month later, I started noticing, like in the shower, when I would shower, my hair would get really thin. Like I see my scalp, like that's really weird. And I'd also notice my head was always itching. I'd always scratch at it, and then I eventually realized, oh wow, I think my hair might be falling out. Right. I actually tell my dad this, and he's like, it's probably your worst dandruff. Like I don't think your hair's falling out. You're way too young. That's like, yeah. I bought that. I'm like, yeah. And then another month goes by, and at this time I'm working at an internship at a cleaning supply company. It was a good job, but it was stressful. And then I'm noticing, like, while I'm sitting there at the keyboard all day, I'm seeing more and more hair. Like I'm noticing it now. I'm like, Dad, I even send him photos, like after when I still have a shower, of my scalp, my hair. Like you can see my scalp, and there's like very thin. And it's like, okay, wow, yeah, your hair's falling out. I believe you now. I'm like, all right, well, what do we do? I was a bit freaked out, but I was calm about it. I was pretty stoic. I'm like, okay, let's go find a dermatologist or something. Like, okay, we'll go talk to them, see what we do from then on out. I mean, I've had my own personal struggles growing up. I had a brother who's autistic and special needs, and always been cared for him. When I was 12, my mother got cancer, and she battled it for about 4.5 years. Before eventually passing, and that was also very tough. Recently, my family's had some money taken us from a bank. Yeah. So We're trying to fight to get that back. But like, and just like that happened to me. I'm like, are you kidding me? Hair loss
Yeah.
too?
So it was just one thing after the other, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously difficult things to deal with, pile on top of each other. And I think, we have talked about stress, and as the stress builds, it certainly doesn't help the situation.
I felt like, okay, I'm just supposed to wait till it falls out, and then I finally see someone, and by the time it's too late. It felt hopeless, and I just kind of stressed out about it. I'm like, and then a few months down, I think around the time I got back to sophomore year for college, there were moments where I did consider shaving it at one point. But I was
Okay,
like,
yeah.
no, but we'll keep trying. We'll keep trying to see if there's any spots that open up. Because I didn't want to jump to that right away. Because for me, I
Yeah.
thought that was like the last resort.
Yeah.
Like if I could save my hair, why would I shave it off?
Why
Because
would you shave it off? Yeah.
I realize now that waiting may have not been the best solution. Because I was like, okay, I've got a still decent amount. I'll be fine. Like sometimes walking through the city, there's a lot of wind tunnels. Like, and I could feel it in my hair. Like, I'd have sort of how my hair was falling out was, at least how I noticed it was, I had it was sort of thinning out right here, and I'd have this little tuft right in the middle, like this little
Right.
patch right there. That's I guess that was my sort of pattern of how it was falling out from August until like 2 weeks ago. I didn't get a haircut because I didn't want to go back and see like, oh God, it's getting worse. So I thought I'd
Right.
just grow it out as long as possible, maybe cover it up. And but while doing that, my hair would just flop throughout the wind, and I would go out and I'd go around wearing hats. Like I'd have a beanie, or I'd wear this, and just to try and cover it up. It was just something it was very bothersome. In fact, it was so much of me obsessing about it daily. I would take photos of my scalp, my head, just seeing what it was like. Because if there's some days I just run my fingers through my hair, I could feel my scalp. I'm like, oh God, how bad is it? And I'm just taking photos. I must have about 1,000 photos on my phone now of my scalp
Wow.
from
Yeah.
that time. It became an obsession. It wasn't healthy. My hair would fall out a lot. Like I'd even wake up with it on my pillow. Like I knew it was falling out. At that point, it was a certainty.
Right.
This is not shedding. Like I would try to hide it from people. I think though that was also bad. One of my roommates texted me, he's like, "Hey, there's hair all over the floor of the bathroom. Can you just clean it up?" I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, he was a little blunt about it. I'm like, but it was just it hit me. It was very embarrassing because like,
Yeah.
shit, like come on.
Other people
Like
would
it's
realize,
noticing
right?
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just I don't think he knew when my hair was falling out, but he just knew that like, okay, that he's getting hair all over the place. Like, and just that alone was embarrassing enough. For like the whole week that bothered me. And I was like, every time I'd go, like every couple of days I'd be like looking around the bathroom, making sure, hey, there's no hair on around. I'd like be constantly sweeping it to make sure there wasn't any
Right.
traces to bother him. It just became just a routine, and not a good one. I don't think it was just something else I had to worry about.
It's interesting now seeing you on camera with the shaved head. Like you said, it does still look like you have a lot of hair.
It
A
does.
lot of hair. And obviously, I've talked about it on the channel before, and it's not about necessarily how much hair you have. It's like once you know it's going, once you know it's falling out, it's like you've then kind of got two options in my opinion. Either it's not affecting your life so bad so that you can almost say, okay, when it gets bad enough, I'll shave it off. Or, if you just think, oh, I just don't want to be dealing with this, or I just don't want to be thinking about it all the time, absolutely, that's what I did. I just shaved it off, and I just said, it's done now. It's going to be gone in 3, 4, 5 years. You never know, really. So I'm just going to do it now. It's done. And that's it. I can carry on. I've got more time to carry on with this new look or whatever.
I was pretty okay with the idea of shaving my head, but I still had my doubts. Like, you could always do that. You have a razor, you can just buzz it all off. There were some times where I'd just stand there in the bathroom. I'd have my electric razor right out on the counter, just hold it in my hand for a bit, and stare there for like a couple minutes, and then just put it back down and then go on with my day.
You thought about it a few times. You picked up the razor, and you ended up putting it down. How did you progress then into thinking like, no, you know what, like I'm going to do this? What sort of got you up to that point?
Well, I'm gonna say right now, the Baldcafe is really what got me to do it.
Yeah.
I was just looking up on YouTube things about balding and hair loss, and then all of a sudden I found your channel. It was just like it came up like, oh, this is interesting. I'll get this guy. Click, and then he's telling you. I think it was the video about the life and death of your hair. That's the one I first
Yeah,
found. Like,
yeah, the like
and
whole journey. Yeah,
that was the first one I ever saw. And I'm like, okay, wow, this seems like a pretty wholesome and genuinely helpful channel. I think I'll watch this some more. And then like, you said it was you noticed it around your mid late 20s when you started.
yeah. I was about 25, 26 when I really noticed it, and when I was like 100% sure, like, yeah, my hair's falling out. But same, like looking back, actually, it probably started a lot sooner than that, but it didn't get so bad that I noticed. Is sort of my experience with it. Yeah,
Right. I'd watch a while, like, okay, this guy, like, he sort of knows what I'm going through, but then again, he lost his hair like at a later age than me. Like, I don't know. And then I'd start seeing other people as well go on your channel. Like, I started watching those as well. And like, I see the one guy who started losing his hair at 17. Like, wow, really?
yeah,
And then he finally shaved it, and I just felt like, okay, wow, this. So this is it. Think about it is when you lose your hair, you start losing it, you tend to notice other people's hair on each. Like I'm walking around through my campus, I've seen other people with it as well. You become, it's not something you think about until you're actually experiencing it. Then you
yeah.
consider around. Like I'm noticing other people who have it. Like I even at one point I started getting a little crazy, like seriously, was like, is there something at Temple that my college is it's causing people to lose their hair? So like in the water, is it
Oh,
something?
really?
Yeah, I'm like, because I noticed like, but then I realized it's a very common thing, or at least more common than I would have thought. Because when you say male pattern baldness, you think people in their 40s, not
Yeah,
in their 20s, and but I think that's something I think people need to consider. At least there needs to be more awareness of, or at least the idea is like, yeah, this can happen very early, and you know what? It's not the end of the world. And I think
yeah.
I think a lot of people would benefit from that.
Yeah, like you said, it's just realizing that actually it's a very normal thing to happen. I think that's where sort of, I don't know, society or people in general, the general public, have become slightly detached, where there's so many things. The loudest voice is the one that's saying, you need to keep hold of this, you need to, change yourself, you need to do absolutely everything you can to hold on to that hair, because if you go bald, that's not right and it will look terrible. But it happens to so many guys, and like you said, it's actually really interesting the fact that you even considered, like, is there something wrong with this college here? Because there's actually a ton of dudes my age that are now going through this, after you become ultra aware of it, right? For young guys, of course, it's a difficult one to deal with, but I think knowing that actually you're really not alone in that situation, it does help a lot. And I agree, it needs to be sort of just talked about more, shared more.
And that's why I really fell in love with the channel and just seeing all these people eventually shaving their head. I'm like,
Brilliant.
all right, I became more okay with the idea, but at that point, I really wasn't like the reason why I hadn't gone. It took me probably about another 2 more months until I finally decided to just buzz it all off. I think the real issue at that point was not like, all right, how am I gonna look? I mean, that was sort of an issue, but I feel like I mean, with a shaved head, I'd be fine. Like I've been able to grow a beard since I was 12, and I just my plan was just, all right, just go for sort of like that Viking berserker look, shave my head, and then grow out a beard. My main issue was like not how strangers would view me, but how friends and family, because I wouldn't care as how much it's just like the people who know me, because then all of a sudden I'd shave my head, they're gonna ask, like, oh James, why'd you shave your head? And I'm like, oh, I just had to get, and I know a lot of good people in my life, and it's just the constant asking, like, oh, why'd you shave your head? Why'd you shave your head? Why'd you shave your head? I'm like, oh God, am I gonna have to confront this? How am I gonna say it? Should I just say like, oh yeah, I just I wanted a new style, but I don't know if that would have been helpful. And then you did a video on it, asking like you just say, be upfront and honest about it. Just like, yeah, my hair was falling out, I shave it, done. Because if you say, oh yeah, it's a new style, what if they say like, oh, but I liked you better with hair, why don't you grow it back?
Yeah.
Can't really do that. So I think being just open and honest about it is just like the best thing, because no one can really give you crap about it. It's like, yeah, I shaved my head, my hair was falling out, and decided to do something about it. You don't like it? I don't care. What would you do?
I gotta ask then, have you had that experience? Have people asked you, and how, what was your response, and then what was their response? Is it played out that way for you?
Actually, right when I shaved my head, no, it was like quite the opposite. I didn't really get. When I finally had the courage to finally just buzz it all off, I actually, right before I was about to do it, I was telling my friends, like, hey, yeah, I'm about to shave my head. I sent them all, they're all in a group chat together. They thought I was like joking or kidding around, like I was doing something. One of my friends, like, oh, you shaving your head for the tournament just to look badass or something? Like, and the one friend's like, all right, then I guess he's doing it as a joke. I'll bleach my hair. I'll grow my hair out long. I'm like, no, it's not that. And then I finally said it. I'm like, my hair was falling out. And they're like, what, really? What? And one of my friends is like, you've had such a thick head of hair. I'm like, yeah, but it was actually falling out. Like I've known, I've been covering it up pretty well. Even my dad would always tell me, like, no one else, I can't even notice that your hair is falling out. I'm like, no, why are you worrying about it? I'm like, yeah, I know, but I notice it. Sure, no one else could tell, but I deep down I knew, and that was just so stressful because it was just the anticipation. Like one of these days, it's eventually going to all come falling out.
Yeah.
Just gone. And that alone was just enough for me to worry about. But now, shaving my head is just quite both figuratively and literally a weight off my shoulders. Well, they were very supportive either way. Like, all right, yeah, you could go ahead and do it. And I did it. I sent them a photo of myself, and they're like, oh, wow, you actually look pretty good. And I think another fear of for guys who going through this and contemplating whether or not they should shave their head is how they're going to look afterwards. It's like, okay, I'm going to look so different. I don't know, like, how is it, like, my hair is such a part of my personality. It's me. I'm part of that camp for a while too. But when I finally buzzed it all off, I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I'm still me. And then at that point, you really just realize how hair is just hair. It's not that important at all. You're still you. It's not going to change you. In fact, quite frankly, I think I look a little better without it. Like people are like, okay, wow. My friends like, it actually suits you very well. Like it's a different look. But you're rocking it. Even my dad's like, okay, wow, you do actually look good. But like regardless, you made a decision and you went through with it. It's just been great. Even people I know here at the school, like a club, I walked in, they're like, okay, wow. Like when they saw me with the shaved head, and it was just nothing but compliments. It was just so relieving, and it was just like, okay, wow.
And it's surprising, right? It's surprising, like you said, one of your biggest concerns wasn't so much how it would feel, how it would look, more so, the reactions from friends and family. And it seems like, you've experienced what I often say, which is one, it's actually really surprising how good it looks, and two, often people are just kind of like, okay, yeah, I see you doing that, you're rocking the shaved head now, good for you. And it sort of ends there, and it's I think that's a big part of why it feels good. And I know I always say this, but because you've been playing all these negative scenarios around in your mind for so many months, about how awful it is and how like people are going to freak out over it, or everyone's going to be laughing at it and things like that. And when that doesn't happen, it's just like not having to worry about the hair yourself, with the addition of then all those fears not coming true, just combined into such a relief, and I think that it seems like that's what you've experienced for sure.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've caught a couple girls checking me out now with the shaved head. Like yeah, it's great for guys. If you really trust me, it works.
One of it is the way it looks, but also maybe how you're carrying yourself differently now. Because for me, I was very much head down, things like that when I was going through the hair loss. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I was always like, I'm still trying to break the habit now, but I was always putting my fingers to my hair, just like trying to make sure, patting it to the side to make sure I was covering it up, any spots that I thought, and it was just, I would always be playing with it, and that looked like some deranged maniac, always just fiddling around with my hair. Like I said earlier, that hair, it was just hair. When I looked in the mirror, it was still me. I'm still who I am. There's not much difference, but except I'm not worrying about this thing that's on my head, this sort of mop that's drooping in my eyes and like hair falling out on my laptop. It's the little things. Like, sure, I'm not running my hands through my fingers through my hair, not stretching that, and it's just to have that thing gone is great. I can carry on with my life. It's you realize it was such a little thing, and that could have just been easily taken care of. I can't believe I stressed about this for over 10 months. You think it's such a big deal, but then you finally realize after when you do it, it isn't. And when you realize it, it's the best feeling ever.
Through your own sort of experience, then again, what would your advice be to those guys? How they can sort of find comfort with this hair loss stuff? How can they sort of, one, build up the courage to get to that point, and two, like, would you have some tips on how to sort of once the deed is done, like we said there about being honest about it with family, I often say just get out there in public as soon as you can. Yeah, what's your general advice for guys listening and watching then to help them get through this, perhaps other young guys in college?
For those who are going through the same thing that I am, especially around my age or even younger, I'll just say right now, I feel with you. I get it. It's a hard decision to go through. Like, you should honestly just take as much time as you need to. It's a rough feeling when it hits you, and like I don't that and whatever you're going through in life as well. Like sometimes it'll feel you want to do everything you can to save it. Like, I would say right now, hair is hair. Like it's nothing. It's just hair. Eventually, take as much time as you need. In fact, either like us, I think you even said this before. Have a razor in your bathroom whenever you feel ready to do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And if you're scared on how it's going to look, just shave it off. You're going to look in the mirror. You're going to realize you're still you. Okay? You losing your hair completely gone doesn't change your personality. It doesn't change who you are. No one can take that. No amounts of follicles on your head can determine who you are. And you're still going to be you. And dealing with people, especially friends and family, asking about it, I mean, just be open about it. I did that with the close friends and family. Like, yeah, my hair was falling out and I decided to take care of it. End it right there. Nothing more. You don't need to give this long twist. Like, yeah, simple as that. Just be confident about it. I mean, I know it's, I could spend here like minutes or even hours just talking about it, but it's something you got to eventually discover yourself. Hopefully I help someone else push them towards like finally taking that final step and just buzzing it off, and just realizing how great it is. It's a decision you've got to make. It's the best decision you can make.
I really like the point what you made there, where you said like it's a decision that you have to make, right? Because I talk about sometimes you have to go to these like low places, or you have to, like you said, sort of look yourself in the mirror and like take away the distractions for a minute, and really ask yourself like, okay, we're dealing with this, we're going through this, like, how am I gonna sort this out? How am I gonna sort this out? And I think once you can really go there, be honest with yourself about it, this whole situation becomes a lot more clear, and especially on how you should deal with it. And that often also comes through speaking to other people about it, right? And being honest with them, sort of say, if you can find someone, and it's like you said, it's an embarrassing thing to talk about. It's not something easy to say to someone like, hey, like my hair's falling out and it's actually making me feel like I'm actually really worried about it. That's an uncomfortable thing to have to do. But often if you can do that, it makes the situation a lot easier to deal with, I think. And I forgot to ask you, did you sort of have that conversation, or did you said you mentioned it to your father?
No one else, but for like that time, like
right.
I was just so worried. I'm like freaking like, I didn't want to tell anyone else about it. It's just sort of like, after like graduating high school and going through college, like if you said something like that, at least where I went, like you always build these scenarios in your head, like you reveal yourself as something show some sort of sign of vulnerability, like your hair's falling out, people will just jump on that and just use it against you, and that's just such a big fear for just like anyone really, but like people with hair loss, it's especially bad, and you just end up don't saying anything about it, and that just doesn't help. You suffer in silence, and truth be told, like if people really do make fun of you, something that you can't control, I forget them. Like they're just, I mean, they're not worth it. And it's kind of like at that, you hear so many jokes about making fun of people's hairlines or stuff like that. Like now it's like, okay, yeah, it's kind of like, really, that's the best you got? Like if someone actually were to make fun of me, like, come on. If you're gonna insult me, do it properly. No one can make fun of you for being a badass. Because let's be honest, like, you want to try it? How would you shave your head?
You've put it out there. It's yours to own. You know, we use this. I throw this term around all the time, owning it, right? But it has genuine meaning to it. When you're owning it, you're honest about it. It's out there. It's you, like you said, and you own that. No one can take that from you. No one can poke fun at you or use it against you. And that is honestly one of the best things about it, and one of the big like revelations of this whole hair loss stuff, and how then tackling it this way, you know, one of the biggest things that you realize. And when you're doing it, you're owning it, you're the one that buzzed it off or chose to buzz it off, right? You took control of it. No one can say anything about that. No one can take that away from you. It's a great feeling. And if you at one time, if you thought you couldn't do that, which I'm sure most of us have, most of us that have gone down this route didn't think we could do that. And then when you finally do, that's when you find real confidence. You know, that's when you find where your confidence really lies. And it's a great feeling. And I'm really pleased for you, man, that you've got there. You found it. You're living it. You're in college. You're focusing on that. You know, you're doing your taekwondo. You got real things to be focusing on, you know, and achieving in, not, you know, worrying about the hair like you were before. And so again, all these things compiled is why it feels so good. And obviously, you know, you're sat here now and you can completely agree. So it's brilliant, man. It's brilliant stuff.
One more thing. When you finally shave your head, get a little cold water on your fingers, put it on your scalp. If anyways do it, it is the best feeling ever. It is, I'm not going to lie.
Soothe that scalp. Yeah. Feel it. You know, I suppose that also comes into the freedom of it all as well, you know. I joke sometimes about getting the wind in your hair afterwards, you know.
It feels nice.
It does, especially when you've been so worried about the wind blowing that hair around, and now you can get out there in all of the elements and actually enjoy them, you know. Suddenly weather becomes enjoyable. Good stuff, James. No, listen, thank you so much, man, for coming on, and just doing what we said before off camera, having this conversation. And guys, I want to thank all the people who tuned in, watched, listened. You know, if you've got any questions or anything like that, pop them down in the comments section. Guys, also, if there's anyone who is struggling, you know, about the stuff we've been talking about, don't forget you can grab a free copy of the guide I wrote at baldcafe.com. That'll be linked down in the description box. That is a great place to start if you want to, you know, if you're kind of lost in all this hair loss stuff. Go check out that guide. Great place to start. We will see you back for more here at Baldcafe. Thank you once again for watching, for listening, and we'll see you in that next episode. Goodbye.